Hello class, my name is Ali Rodriguez. I have been working on this presentation with Fatima, Biggs, and Tanya. For our presentation, we chose to research interpersonal communication, focusing on perception and learning how to improve our interpersonal communication with our coworkers. So, who enjoys working every day, right? Going to work every day. It's possible that some of us love it, some of us don't. And a huge part in whether we love it or we hate it is our relationship with those around us in our workplace. It's possible that at one point or another, we've encountered both pleasant and unpleasant experiences with our coworkers. As a team, we agreed that we'd like to learn to improve our communication in the workplace and our professional relationships, because most of us work 40 hours a week, and sometimes we spend more time with those coworkers than we do with our own family. It's important to learn how to have good communication with our colleagues, as this makes our lives easier and makes work more enjoyable. We learned that perception plays a big role in improving our interpersonal communication. It's fundamental to know how perceptual variations shape the reality of each person. Thus, learning how perceptual variations and the barriers to accurate perception can improve the chances of developing more truthful perception by recognizing the part individuals play in perception. So our thesis statement or our hypothesis is the next. The perception process and the barriers that interfere with the accurate perceptions impact interpersonal communications in the workplace. So therefore, it is essential to develop strategies that enhance perceptual abilities and improve interpersonal communication. Following along, we will see a bit of the perception process breakdown. So selecting is the first part of the perception process, in which we focus our attention, our sensory receptors, on certain incoming sensory information. Here we see a lady in a store who is choosing between an apple or an orange, right? All the other possible stimuli in the store have been pushed back, and the lady is focusing on the orange or the apple. The thing attracting our attention can be abstract, like a concept, or concrete, like an object. Organizing is the second part of the perception process, in which we classify and categorize that information that we perceived based on instinct and learned cognitive patterns. In this step, we are sorting out the information we had just perceived. 3 ways we organize information are by using proximity, similarity, and difference. We take into consideration how close or far things, or how similar or different those things are. After we do evaluation and interpretation, these play a close relationship with each other. So evaluation, after we evaluate and interpret information, we assign a meaning to it. The meaning we assign to these experiences are influenced by other factors, such as culture, roles, biases, emotional state, and past experiences, physical limitations, or capabilities. For example, we are more likely to view someone who more positively if we speak a more personal relationship than somebody whom we don't feel really anything for. Interpretation is part of this process also, in which we assign meaning to our experiences using mental structures such known as schemata. So we interpret information using schemata, which allows us to assign meaning to information based on accumulated knowledge and previous experience. Schemata are like databases of stored related information that we use to interpret new experiences. We have a fairly complicated schemata that has been developing over time, as the small units of information like to combine and make more meaningful complexes of that information. Lastly, we have response. It's the way we react to things that is influenced by external stimulation and how our internal state is. We are able to control our responses to stimuli And then our response consists of how we make sense of the world and we relate it to others. This last part is intended to be at the end, our conclusion after all my teammates of my group have talked. And then just to conclude with our whole presentation, I just wanted to reiterate and just highlight everything that we've been talking about to say interpersonal communication is a critical skill to have to succeed and improve our professional relationships. Therefore, learning more about the perception process, perceptual variations, and barriers to accurate perceptions are foundational to enhance interpersonal communication and increase our chances of success in our work and in our careers. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us, and thank you for your time. Y'all have a great day.
Hello, my name is Fatima, and I will be talking about barriers accurate perception. And there are 7 barriers accurate perception, and the first one is the fact inference confusion. When we make determinations about what we have seen. So for example, the leaves of growing plants are green. We are making a conclusion by the thing we saw the leaves of growing plants are green, and concluding that leaves are greenish. We draw a conclusion from experience. The second one is allness, believing that we know everything about situation or person and carrying that beliefs with us. Examples for this is someone you know and pass by that does not smile at you, and you assume they were mad at you. So you are assuming you know all the facts about what this person did not smile at you and that they are mad. There were no evidence or reason for this belief. The third one is indiscrimination, the propensity to single out similarities without regard to differences. Example is this man was making offers every houses he discovered on sale that looked the same from the outside. So a form of discrimination because he assumed they were all the same from the outside. He gave no attention to the differences that could be inside the house. The fourth one is a frozen evaluation. Assume that situation or people remain the same. For example, the stock market goes up and down. The fact about the stock market is and it's constant now and the future. So the stock market will go up and down if it exists. The response is frozen assessment. So the fifth one is the snap judgment. Snap judgment is making instant conclusion about situation or persons. Example, a man passed by a pit bull lying down on the street and assumed that the dog was dangerous and killer. So this is a form of a snap judgment, because without even attempting to know the dog or determine its temperament, that man concluded it was dangerous. The sixth one is the blundering, seeing and framing things in the way we desire to understand them instead what is really in front of us. For example, is a young woman found out her ex-boyfriend after 15 years and assumed that he was still lazy. And he works full-time and lives on his own and drives his own car. But the thing is, the girl refused to understand her ex-boyfriend changes even though he told her he had changed with his development examples. So the seventh one is the tendency to judge others more harshly than we judge ourselves. Having stricter standards for other people and holding them to it that we have and maintain for ourselves. Examples for this is the employee is often talking to her coworkers, but thinks that coworker is the worst worker in the world because they talk too much and it's just so annoying. So the employee has no consideration of how much they talk about themselves. So the employees judged the coworker for talking too much, but that doesn't consider that they may be talking too much. These are the 7 barriers to accurate perception. So they look our view of what is real and give us an altered of what is going on. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tanya. I am presenting strategies you can use to improve your perceptual abilities to become a capable perceiver. Following the next steps will help you to experience new and healthy relationships, minimize misunderstandings, and expand your horizons in your workplace. Number one, recognizing the part you play. This is about making an effort to increase our self-awareness, is to check in ourselves. It's one of the most essential skills to achieve to improve our interpersonal relationships. Yes, it's difficult, but it's possible. More specifically, it means analyzing our character, looking in the patterns on the way we behave. How do you explain things to yourself and make a sense of the world? Checking in your emotion, your mental states, your bias, your communication styles. And finally, I think it's taking responsibility in what you bring to your perception process so you can develop conscious and deliberate behaviors. Number two, be a patient perceiver. Slowing down is key. In our society, rushing and not multitasking is overglorified. But rushing and jumping to conclusions can diminish our ability to perceive accurately and look beyond the obvious. It's essential to take extra time and make the effort to verify our perceptions are accurate. Number three, becoming a perception checker. This is a process, very short, small, you can do it. There are three steps. First, observe the other person's behavior. Second, think about that behavior and look for possible and alternative explanations to that behavior. Third, share your interpretation with the other person. Ask for clarification. It might be helpful if you describe the behavior you are talking about so both of the people can understand what is going on, what is the subject you are talking. Number four, widen your perception. This is keeping the big picture in your mind. It's avoiding to jump into conclusions based on a single piece of evidence or are over attributing meaning to a single behavior or circumstance. It's critical to understand that first impressions or last impressions make a huge impact on us. But many times, first impressions or last impressions are inaccurate. They are not accurate. There might be errors. So try to not draw inaccurate conclusions based on partial evidence. Number five, seeing through the eyes of another. This is all about empathy. Empathy is knowing how to practice empathy. Is making an effort to put yourself in other person's shoes and take the focus from you and look to put your eyes in the other person. What is this person feeling? What is upsetting this person? What is the motivation? Empathy is the most important skill you can develop to improve your interpersonal communication. Number six, building perceptual bridges, no walls. Is this more about not focusing on who is wrong or who is right? It's just focusing in what caused this misunderstanding. When there is a misunderstanding between two people jump to say it's my fault, it's your fault, you are right and wrong. But it's better to see what happened, why this person is looking or thinking differently than me. So I hope this helps. Next, my classmate Biz is going to present examples related to these steps I just mentioned. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Biggs and I will be speaking with you today about strategies you can analyze to improve your social abilities and interpersonal communication skills in and outside of the workplace. First, you must recognize the part you play. This means understanding where you stand in relation to others and how that might affect your communication style. Sorry. If you are speaking with your superior, it would be best to use formal titles and address them as Mr. or Mrs. However, if you're speaking with a coworker, then you can use the first name. Additionally, you should understand when the right time to talk is and when the right time to hold your tongue is. Sometimes you may need to sit back and let the team leader instruct the group, and other times it is the best that you protectively communicate. Second, speaking of holding your tongue, this relates quite a bit to being a patient perceiver. When involved in a conversation, you must not immediately interject the second you feel that you need to talk. Instead, sit back and focus on listening and understanding what the other person is really saying. If you constantly interrupt because you cannot wait your turn to talk, then you are going to end up creating one-sided conversation. Third, you must become a precision checker. In other words, you must think about how your perceptions may be limited or constrained by your environment. If you missed a team meeting at work and then return the next day, your perceptions will be limited because you missed out on important interactions you would have had. The same is true in your personal relationship because unless you see someone every day, they might be going through experience that could impact the way they communicate without you knowing. Sorry. For instance, someone is going through an eviction and this would cause them a significant stress that might make them seem irritated or quick to become angry. Fourth, you must sweeten your perceptions. You should realize that the world is not only limited to what you are experiencing. Other people will individually experience different things and hold different opinions. For instance, a person who has had their house burned down will likely have a much different opinion on building safety codes compared to someone who hasn't. Finally, you should see through the eyes of another. This means you should be able to empathize with someone and see through their perspective. By doing so, you can understand what motivates them and what causes them to make the decisions they are doing. An example of this might be a team member who is coming into work late every day. You might write them off as lazy, but in reality, they could be struggling with sleep condition that is making them feel exhausted no matter what time they wake up. Thank you.